So far we discussed about crystal reports. So today we'll look into Excelsius dashboards. So what is the use of these dashboards? Like in Web Intelligence and crystal reports, you have an option to insert charts and you can populate the information on top of a chart or a graph. So even then you have graphs in two different tools. Why do we need to go for Excelsius? So there are multiple advantages when you compare with charts. Excelsius dashboards are not only uses graphical components, it also have more interactive components, and especially it generates an output in the form of a flash file. When you compare with the graphs what you see in Crystal or Web Intelligence, those are all two-dimensional and they're not, so all those are not a flashy type charts that you have, and when Excelsius is more flashy type components, it doesn't show you detail level information. So it's going to show you high level summarized data which is going to plot on top of a graph, and apart from that you also have some selectors. So let's have a look on Excelsius, how it works. Even Excelsius is also a client-based tool which needs an installation on your machine. So just open an Excelsius designer. So this is how an Excelsius looks like. So wherein you have a workspace area. This is known as canvas. So this is the canvas where we build our dashboard, and just below that you have an inbuilt Excel sheet which is going to act like a source for all the components that you place on top of this canvas. So for Excelsius components, the only source is Excel sheet that you have which is inbuilt. Nothing other than that. So apart from these two, canvas and an inbuilt Excel sheet, you also have left-hand side components window. So this components window gives you what are all the different components that are available in Excelsius to build your dashboard. So they have categorized them, they have grouped them together, and if you see, so what are all the charts that you have? On the charts you have line chart, pie chart, column chart, and so on. And then if you want any selectors, you have accordion menu, checkbox, combo box, and so on. So like that, each and every component that they have categorized, you can see it like an accordion menu, or otherwise same components you can see like a tree-like structure. You have folders, and inside that you have all the components. And apart from that, you also have list. So list is going to list out all the components together. So it will be difficult for you to choose a component if you see the list, but if you see category wise, it will be easier to choose a component because they categorize them. So three different windows. One is your canvas, the other one is your Excel sheet which is inbuilt, and your component window where you can choose the component to build your dashboard. And now, in order to build any dashboard, so you need to drag and drop. So you just need to drag and drop a component on top of a canvas. So let's say, for example, I'll just type some sample data on top of this Excel sheet. So let's say I have two different columns, country and revenue. So this is my sample data what I have here, and I want to populate a column chart, a bar chart, and I want to show this data on top of that component. So if that is the case, then go to charts under your components and just drag and drop a chart which is column chart and place it on top of your canvas. So after placing your chart on top of a canvas, you need to bind the data, whatever that you have on this Excel sheet, to this component. In order to bind, right click on this component and go to properties. It opens a property window right hand side, and these are all the properties of a selected specific component, which is column chart. Now the first option what you have is the chart title. So if you have any title placed on your Excel sheet in a specific cell, you can click on this icon Excel and point to a specific cell where you have the title. So I don't have any title here, but if you want to hard code it, you can also do that. So I'll name this as and subtitle. So I don't want any subtitle. Now we need to bind the data. So in order to bind the data, I have data in columns. Select this radio button and select this. So these are all measure values that I have, which I'm going to populate on my graph. And you need to also provide these measures are based on which category labels, which means specific country category labels. Click on by series, and under category labels, just beside that, click on this icon and select your category labels from here till here. So now, based on the data, you'll be able to see in the design itself, it's highlighting that all the values in your column chart. Now, other than binding the data to your component, so if you want to change any appearance of your chart, you can change them. For example, in this appearance, I don't want those minor lines, whatever that you have just behind the chart. So we'll go to axis. So see here, have show major grid lines and show minor grid lines. So now there are no grid lines for my chart. And if you want to change any color, you can also change the color of the bar. Now I want it as it is. Now this is my graph, and you can also fit the canvas to the component so that it exactly shows your component. And if you want to increase the canvas size, you can also do that. And select the canvas white space and go to the properties of your canvas, and if you want to change the background color, you can change it. Now when you click on preview, it shows your output in the form of a flash file. So this is a flash file, and if you want to export this flash file, so you have an option of exporting to PPT, Word document, Outlook, PDF, or you can export it to an SWF format, independent SWF. Let's see how do we export to PDF. I'll click on send to Adobe PDF. There you go. So this is a PDF file with the flash incorporated into it, and apart from that, you can also export the output to PPT file or Word document or Outlook as well. So I just want to save it as an SWF file, so I can export it to Flash. Under File you have an option, Export to Flash, and I can place it on top of my desktop, and I can name this as maybe sample 3. Now I've successfully exported that output to an SW file. Now this is the sample 3. In order to view the output of this SW file, you can open this Flash file with a browser, which is Internet Explorer. You'll be able to see the output through browser. So like that, you can build your own dashboard based on the data, and once you export it, it always populates with the data what you have in your Excel sheet at the time of exporting it. Now it's an independent output. Even SWF is also an exported format, not an actual design of your Excel sheets. So then what is the actual design of your Excel sheets? .xlf. See, this is a file which is an Excel sheets file wherein you have all the designs. Just give me a moment. Okay, I've actually muted myself. Okay, I'm back. So that's how we build Flash files, and the design of Excel sheets will be in the form of .xlf, which is going to have an actual design. And in order to see the output, you have to see it in the form of an SW file or in an exported format. Even SWF is also an exported format of your dashboard. So you cannot change your design by simply looking at SW file. You need the design file. That design file is nothing but .xlf, which is Excel sheets file. In order to save this design, so click on Save button and store it on your local machine. Maybe I'll name this as sample and save it. Now on my desktop, I have a sample.xlf. This is the design, and so whenever you want to change or modify the design, double click on this. It opens the design, and you can do modifications on your Flash file, how it has to generate, and then again export it to an SWF file and overwrite an existing SWF file. That's how it you do. So in Crystal Reports or Web Intelligence, the design and preview will be done on the same file, but wherein here in Excel sheets, design is in a different file, and the output what we see is a different file, which is an SWF format. Clear so far? Any questions? So that's how we generate a simple dashboard in Excel sheets using the data on top of our Excel sheet and binding it to a component and populate the output in the form of PDF or SWF. So most probably we develop in the form of SWF. Now how do we publish this to your business objects enterprise? So now under file you have an option save to platform. And apart from save to platform, you also have an option export to business objects platform. So what is the difference between dashboard design and Excelsius? Both are same. Excelsius is 3.1 version, which is one version older than the latest version, and in the latest version they are calling it as dashboard design, SAP dashboards, not Excelsius. They removed the name Excelsius and now they are naming it as SAP dashboard design. Okay, both are same. So now here you have two options wherein you can save to platform. So whenever you use save to platform, it's going to save the design of your Excelsius. And whenever you choose export to business objects platform, it's not going to export the design, but wherein the output of your flash, whatever the flash file that it is going to generate, that will be saved into your business objects enterprise. So let's see the difference. I'm going to export it to business objects platform, and I need to log in into my business object server. And now browse through multiple folders. I'm going to choose this folder. I'm going to name this as sample SWF, and I saved it on my training folder of our business objects enterprise. And let's see if I can see the output through browser by logging into InfoView. You can also search for the specific file, sample, search, here we go. So since I have used an exported format, it's going to be a flash file which is going to publish on your business objects enterprise. This is just an output of your design. You cannot modify anything in a flash file. Anything that you want to modify, you need to open the design, modify, and override this flash file in business objects server with the latest changes. Now if you double click on this flash file, it opens in a browser. That's it. Anything that you want to do changes to your design, you cannot do it in this flash file. So you need to open the design related to this flash and do the changes and again re-export it back to your business objects enterprise. So that is export to business objects enterprise, wherein we export the output and we'll give an access to our client to see that flash file. Now you have another option, save to platform. So when you select an option, save to platform, this design we are trying to save, see, sample.xlf. I want to save this into a training folder and click on save. So it's going to save in your business objects enterprise, which is a design of your Excelsius. So that if any other developer wants to change the output of an SWF file, he needs that design. So he's going to open that design from your business objects enterprise and into his local machine, Excelsius Designer, and he'll make the changes. So you're just sharing the design to other developers, not to your clients, because they cannot run those, they cannot do anything with that design. So let me refresh it once again. There you go. So this is an output and this is the design. So let's see if we can view anything. If I right click, I don't have any view option. So I'm just using business objects enterprise as a centralized storage location so that I can share my files with other developers. So if a new developer wants to work on that design, then he's going to open Excelsius Designer on his local machine. And as soon as he open an Excelsius Designer, so in order to get the design file from the business object server, he'll go to file and click on an option open from platform, and he'll log in into business object server. Now browse through the folder which is training and select the one which you saved, which is sample.xlf, and open. So now you are importing the design from your business object server into your local Excel sheets dashboard design, and do the modifications and export the output SW file to business object server once again. So that is the difference between saving into platform and exporting to a platform. Exporting is nothing but the preview. Output of your design is an SW file is what you're going to export to BO server, and save to platform is the design file which you are going to save it into your business object server. That's how we distribute our flash files to our clients. And coming to this designing part, so let's see what else that we have here. So apart from this component window, you also have object browser. So this object browser is going to list out all the components what you placed on top of your canvas. So I have only one component which is going to be highlighted, and here in this object browser you have two options. One is hide, which is going to hide the components, and the other one is lock. So this lock is used whenever you want to deal with multiple components placed on top of your canvas, and once the design is confirmed, you don't want to move the position of that particular component, then you can actually lock that component so that you cannot move the component from that position. So that is the use of object browser, wherein you can hide the components or you can lock the components, in which is going to list out all the components what you placed on top of canvas. And now, so apart from these components and object browser and properties of each and every component that we select, we also have themes and colors. So here you have set of combinations wherein you can apply these colors to your components. For example, if I choose this, it's going to apply that color combination to your dashboard. And apart from these colored settings, you also have themes. So these are all predefined templates that you have to which template that you want to apply. So select a specific template. It's going to apply that template to your components. So I'm going to choose this. It's going to display like this. So if you are not satisfied with predefined colors or themes, you can define your own colors for the background and for each and every graph. But they have defined some set of templates. If you want to reuse them, you can always use them. So this is the default one. So that's how we can apply themes and colors to our dashboards. Now, so let's look into more interactive dashboards. So how can we make our dashboard more interactive when we deal with more than one component placed on top of our canvas? So I'm going to create a new one. First of all, we need data on top of our Excel sheet. Let's see if I have any Excel sheet that consists of any data. This is not what we need. This is live office. Okay. Here we have a data which consists of a list of products, and for each and every product you have monthly sales information. Now I want to use this data and I want to populate my dashboard. So let's see. So rather manually typing your data, if you want to import the data from outside Excel sheet, then you have an option of import button at the top, import spreadsheet. Now select data.xls on my desktop and click on open. It's going to import all the data what you have that on top of your desktop file. It's going to copy that content and paste it here in your Excel sheet. Now this is an Excel sheet inbuilt in my Excel sheet. Now I have the data and I want to populate. So now here, so I want to populate a bar graph. I'll place my bar graph and I just want to bind the data for a specific product. So I'll open up the properties of that component, and for the chart title I'll select this time the product name for which you're populating your component, which is product 1, and subtitle monthly sales, and the data I have it in column, sorry, here I have it in rows, and the range is from January till April. Click on OK. And then scroll down here, and to select the category, select by series. And now under categories, so select the category which are from January to April. So now if you observe your component which is going to populate the data based on the values what you have for the specific product 1 which is fixed. Now I want to make it more interactive so that customer is going to select a product for which he wants to see the monthly sales information. As soon as he chooses that information, it should populate, my graph should populate with the selected product info and what are all the sales information that a specific product has. Same thing what we do in reporting tool using prompts. So customer is going to choose a value for a specific prompt, and based on that he's going to see the output of the data. So now what I want is I want to create one radio button label here left hand side, and if the so here we don't have any input controls, we have multiple components. We have a component called selectors. So now go to the components which is going to work like an input control. So under selectors category you have combo box, so you can choose anything that you want, but I want a radio button list, so I'll go ahead and use a radio button list and place it here. Now for this list I need to bind what are all the products that I have in my data. So go to the properties of this label button, and here for the labels I'm going to choose product 1 . I'll choose here itself product 1 till here. Click on OK. Now I don't want this type of a data, this is for different purpose. Okay. So I've chosen this list from my data, and I'll be able to see those labels here from product 1 to 7, radio button list. Now so I need to design these two components first of all before I make it as more interactive between each other. Let me increase the size a little bit. Okay, and now both components should be of same size. Now select both the components by clicking on Control and see at the top you have an option same size. So it's going to make it as the same height. Now after making it as the same height, align it on tops. Okay, and now just move the component a little bit towards right. And then I'm going to format my graph by removing all the grid lines. Let me remove the grid lines under appearance, series, axis. Don't show these two lines. Okay, done. And now I want to change the background color of my canvas. So go to the properties of your canvas and change the color of your background. This one, choose this one. Don't want gradient type, I want solid color. Let me choose this. Okay, and now I want to minimize an extra space, the canvas space which is left over blank, and I'm going to fit to a canvas, and I'll increase a little bit. This looks better. And now let me increase the size of the chart, the width of the chart a little bit more. Okay. So this is my graph and this is my design wherein I have created, and let me fix the positions of these two so that while binding the data I don't disturb the position of these things by locking the position. And now so my design is fixed. Now if you see the preview, it's going to show you the list. So this is my output. Now what I want is at runtime, if I select product 1, it should show product 1 related information. If I select product 2, it should show product 2 related information. So how can I make these two components more interactive between each other? So in order to do that, first of all, for your data, select the target information. So if you observe here in my data, I have one highlighted cells, which is going to be at my target cells, and based on the product that you select, that related information will be will get updated in this target cells. I have highlighted with yellow color. This is my target that I have selected. And now, so let me select this component, which is radio button. Uncheck locking, select it, go to the properties. First of all, let me highlight the labels in bold color, in bold style. Text, not the title. I want the labels in bold. Okay. Now go to the general properties, and if you observe, you have an option for a selector which is data insertion. So what it does, let's see. So here you have an option of data insertion and different types of insertions like position, label, value, row, column, and so on. So what exactly each and every insertion type does? So before selecting the insertion type, okay, so let's see what exactly each and every insertion type does. So let's say if I select insertion type as position, what happens? Click on this icon. Okay, these are all labels that you have, and each and every label is going to have a serial number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. And you have a target cell, a single cell, and when you select label 1, it inserts 1, 2, 2. So in that target cell, it's going to insert the position of that label selected. In my scenario, I don't want that. Let me go ahead with label. Now see what happens. You have a target cell, and if you select the label 1, it's going to insert the selected label name. So this is not what I'm looking for. So let's see the other type, which is value. So here you have corresponding values for each and every label. Label 1 has 872, label 2 has 345. Now I'm going to have a target cell here, and when I select label 1, it inserts corresponding value into your target. So this is slightly what I am looking for, but not a single value. I have a complete row. So let's see the other type. For each and every label, you have corresponding rows. Label 1 belongs to first row, label 2 belongs to second row, third row, and fourth row. Now I have a target row, and when I select label 1, it should insert label 1 related information in that target. So this is what I am looking for. And what I'll do is I'll build my column chart on top of target cells rather than selecting an actual cell. So now I'll choose the option as row type insertion for my selectors, which is radio button selector. And what is your source data? So my source data is the complete data that you need to select from here till here. So this is your range of your data. So click on OK. Now what is your destination? So destination is the highlighted cell with cells with yellow color. So this is my destination. So that if I select product 1, the complete row related to product 1 will be inserted into this destination. If you select product 2, it again inserts overwriting the existing data what you have in that destination. Done. Now, the next thing is populating my graph not on actual data but on this target cells. So select the graph, go to the general properties of your graph, and here you have the values. So the values what you have selected, categories are same, January to April, but the values, actual values, rather selecting this range, I'm going to choose the cells which are highlighted with yellow color from here till here. This is an actual data. Click on OK. Now, as of now, you don't have the data, but at runtime, based on the value that you choose, you're going to populate the data. And the chart title, which product related information that you are showing, select the cell, this one. Now click on OK. Now we are done with designing our report. Now, as of now, there is no default value selected in your label, right? If you want one of the product by default to be selected when you preview the data, then go to the properties of your radio button list. Under behavior, here you have an option, select label 1, which is by default, which is highlighted. Now, as of now, you don't have any data in your target cell. That's why the chart is not showing any data. But let's see the preview. At runtime, since you have selected product 1, you will be able to see product 1 data. Now, I'll select product 2. It shows product 2 data. Product 3, product 4, product 5, 6, and 7. So this is my dashboard, which is showing all the related information, and wherein I made this dashboard more interactive with multiple components. And based on the value that you choose in selector, it's populating my graph based on the data corresponding to that product. Now I can export this to a PDF, and it's going to work in the same manner. So let's say, so I want to export it to a PPT, which is PowerPoint presentation. There you go. So this is a PPT file, and even on top of PPT file I can choose this. So like that you can export your output to any third-party format, and you will be able to see the output, because never matter whatever the third-party tool, a flash file is going to be embedded into that particular file. That's it. So this is how we can make more interactive dashboard using Excel sheets. Any questions? Yes, dashboards are mostly useful for business users, and especially when you want to generate um, a graph for especially higher level management like CEOs or MDs to see an overview of a sales information. And remember, Excel sheets has some limitations, like the best practice is not to exceed more than 512 rows. If you have a data which is more than 512 rows, so your dashboard performance will be degraded. And yes, in real time you might have more rows, but maximum 5,000, not more than 5,000. But there are some scenarios wherein you deal with 1 lakh records. But if you have 1 lakh, go for web intelligence or crystal reports. Don't go for dashboards. So is that meaningful, showing 1 lakh different points in a graph? No. You can't even show that 1 lakh different points in a graph, because it's too big data. Dashboards cannot handle that. Performance will be degraded. So dashboards are useful for summarized data, high level data. As less rows that you have, the performance will be faster. So by default, business objects Excel sheets defines 512 is the best for best performance of your dashboard. And yes, you can extend up to 5,000 rows, but not more than that. But still, some people, they are using more than that. They are using 1 lakh. And since there is a limitation for 2003 version of MS Office Excel, wherein it cannot accommodate more than 65,532 rows in a single sheet. That's a limitation of Microsoft. That's true. So whenever you deal with data, you need to select top 10 customers or something like that. But what is the use of using 1 lakh records? It doesn't mean that you are going to populate your graph on top of 1 lakh records. But what they'll do is that 1 lakh records is a raw data, detail level data. From that detail level data, placing in an Excel sheet, in sheet 2, they'll manipulate to summarize the data. And on that summary, they'll populate the graph. So that's how some people do, wherein they don't, while getting the data, they don't get it as summarized data. They'll get the detail level data into Excel sheet. They'll use Excel level functions and they'll manipulate it and they'll apply group by and all those things, and they'll generate one summarized level data from the raw data, and then they'll populate the graph on top of that. So 65,500 records are the limitation of Microsoft, wherein you cannot accommodate more than that in a specific sheet. But in the latest version, which is Microsoft Office 2010, you can have more than 65,000. There is no limitation for the data. Okay, so that is about Excel sheets dashboards. Just give me a second, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So any questions so far what we discussed in Excel sheets? No questions? So as per our discussion so far what we have seen, so which functionality is missing in this dashboard? So what are we missing in this dashboard? Anyone? So I'm able to create interactive dashboard, and based on the data whatever that I have, I'm able to populate my dashboard. But which functionality? That's true. The data what you're getting on top of your Excel sheet is not dynamic. It's a static data. What you placed on top of your Excel sheet is not coming from a database. It's just a static data which we typed. But we want real-time data. We want to connect to our backend database and we want to populate the data. So far the dashboards, whatever that we have seen, is populating on top of static data. How can we make the data dynamic so that it can directly read the data from the backend database and it can populate the information? So same steps, you just need to know how can we make our dashboard to read real-time data. So designing part is same, whether you work with real-time data or static data, it doesn't matter because it's something related to the formatting and choosing the components. But once you are done with your design, while binding the data to your component, you need to choose some options to make it more real time. And remember, you cannot use a source for your components other than an inbuilt Excel sheet what you have. So you should write your logic. So you need to choose a logic in such a manner, whatever the real-time data that you get, you need to place it on top of your Excel sheet. Because ultimately for these components, the source is an Excel sheet, nothing other than that. So in that scenario, how do we get dynamic data and how can we make our dashboard to read from a universe designer or web intelligence or crystal reports? And you also have third-party connectors. If you install an add-on, you'll get direct connectivity to our backend databases without using universe designer or web intelligence. So before we discuss that, so here you just need to know what are all the other different components that we have in Excel sheets. So once you have an Excel sheets designer installed on your machine, if you go to File, and here you have Samples. So click on this Samples, and under User Guide Samples, you have list of dashboards developed, which is going to show you each and every component usage. How do we use it, and so these are all pretty straightforward. Each and every component uses. For example, here you have, as soon as I select accordion menu, it's showing the use of accordion menu. See the left hand side, you have a selector called accordion menu. Based on the values that you choose, it's going to populate. And alerts in chart, how do we enable alerts? Highlight some data in red color and green color. Alerts on maps, alerts on selectors, calendar, chart drill down. So like that, each and every component, they build one sample dashboard, and they have some data, static data on Excel sheet which is inbuilt, and you'll be able to populate these type of graphs. So just go through each and every sample so that you'll understand the usage of each and every component. What is the use? What does it mean? And the process is same. Just drag and drop the component on top of your canvas. In order to make it as dynamic selector, more interactive, we have seen data insertion types. So they'll highlight the best practices. If you have any data insertions, they are going to highlight in an Excel sheet yellow color. Wherever you see yellow color, that's going to be a target for data insertion. So like that, so go through each and every sample and try to reproduce them. And for example, so I'm going to show you an example here. Calendar. Now click on OK. Now if you observe here, in this calendar example, this is the data what you have. So this is the data what you have. And the yellow one which is highlighted, this is the place where you are inserting at runtime. So now here, sometimes not all components support data insertion type of all, like what we have seen: label, position, row, column, and so on. But not all components supports all those options. Each and every component has their own data insertion types. For example, in this calendar, let's say in my Excel sheet I have the data for the month July 1st to 31st. So 1 month data. In this 1 month data, it's showing each and every branch related sales revenue. So now that based on the date selected by the customer in this calendar, it's should populate that sales revenue by branch, which is a horizontal bar chart. So now we know that we have a data insertion type, and based on the date that they select, we insert the corresponding row in this target. But let's say, what are all the data insertion types that we have for the calendar component? Go to the general properties of a calendar component. Now if you observe here, insertion type, you have only two for calendar components. You can either insert a day or date. But do you have insertion type as a row? So that corresponding information for that date you can grab and you can insert in a target. But you don't have a row type insertion. Then how do you get the corresponding information of a selected date? You can't. So in this type of scenarios, if you are aware of Excel related functions, you can get that logic and you can make your dashboard to work like how you want. So not only placing the data, sometimes you might need to use Excel related functions as well. And remember, macros. What you have in Excel are not supported in Excel sheets. And pivot tables, we have an option of creating pivot tables in Excel sheet. Even those pivot tables are not supported in Excel sheets. Remaining anything, if you want to write if function, if you want to use any formula, sum functions, average, minimum, lot of functions are available in your Excel sheet. You can make use of it and get the output in a specific cell, and bind that output to your component to populate your graph. So now, in this scenario, based on the date selected by the customer, I want to grab corresponding data. For example, if I select the date 7/1/2007, all the data corresponding to that I want to insert into this target cell. How can I do that? So let's see what he has done for that. So in order to view only Excel sheet, go to view. Here you have an option spreadsheet only, so that it shows only spreadsheet and you can work on this spreadsheet. You have enough space there. Now here you have a concept called VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP in Excel sheet level. So what is the use of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUPs? So let's see. If you have any reference value, you can vertically look up for multiple columns to get the corresponding values. For example, here I need to use a VLOOKUP to get the values, since I have the corresponding values in columns. Now let's say the corresponding values of this particular date, I want it over here. So how many columns that you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns. So I'll choose 9 columns and I'll choose 10 columns. One is for the date. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. And I'm going to highlight with yellow color. Now, the first column, I'll use it for the date. For example, in this first column, I have a date called 1/1/2007. So whatever the date that I enter in this first cell, corresponding to that, I need to get the values over here. Now, oops, it's 7, right? 7/1/2007. Now, for this date, I want to get a corresponding value here, and let's see what I'm going to write here. Select the cell, equal to, I'll write a function VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP, oops, and open the braces. Now, what is the first parameter for VLOOKUP function? lookup value. For which value that you want to apply lookup? I want to look up for this date, what I have placed in my first cell, M7. Put comma. What is your table range? Table array is from here till the end of your data. Till here. Click on shift and select the complete range. So that is your table array. Now put comma. Now what is the next value? Column index number. So corresponding to your lookup value, using column index, which value that you want to grab? I want first column value. That's it. Close the braces. Click on enter. Now let's see what it has given. So it's showing a date value first. A second value is going to be the second column. So it's showing 12.54. The same information is populating here, which is not rounded, but if you use this, and second value is going to be this, third value is going to be this, fourth value is going to be this. So same thing what I'm going to do now here. So I'll expand it towards right, and I'll change. Oops, it's going to change the range if you expand it. So I want the same thing, but in order to expand without changing these two values, you need to put dollar symbol, ampersand, ampersand. If the range is static, if you don't want to change while expanding, you need to put this ampersand in between. Ampersand and ampersand. And let's see what happens. So it's not accepting. Let me type a dollar symbol. Dollar, dollar, and dollar. Enter. Okay. So now since I placed dollar for the range, now if you expand towards right, it changes only the index. The range will be, it's not even changing the index. I want here 3. Enter. Okay. Now select these two. Now expand it towards right. Let's see what happens. It's not changing. That's okay. I'll expand it towards right as it is till the end. Now here this is 3 and this is going to be 4, and this is going to be 5. Before and after that we need, okay, no problem, I'm actually changing it manually. 6. Be able to see the corresponding values. The same values I'm able to populate in the target cells. Done. So based on the date what I have entered here, the corresponding values I'm able to capture in my target cells using VLOOKUP function. Now if I change this date accordingly it's going to change the corresponding values, because all these values are reference to this index. Now let's say I want 7/9/2007, then see how it's going to change the values in the corresponding cells. When I click on enter, values got changed. Now see whether it is populating 7/9/2007 related information or not. Yes. So in this logic, what I can do is I have in my component data insertion type as date. I'll insert that selected date by the customer into this cell. As soon as I change the date in this cell, corresponding values will be changed. That is what he has done. He has used VLOOKUP function, and calendar insert cell he choose this, and based on this he is populating this data dynamically, and he's binding this data to the component so that based on the value that or a date a customer selects, a graph is changing. So that's how sometimes you might need to use Excel sheet level logic to make your dashboard more interactive. Any questions? No questions? Clear so far? So here if you want these Excel sheets, so I would recommend you to repopulate the same components using the same manner how he did the samples. But for that samples, if you want that sample data to be extracted, so if you want to extract any Excel sheet from an Excel sheets file, you have an option under data, export. When you click on export, it's going to export the inbuilt Excel sheet what you have in Excel sheets to your desktop. Now once you have that file extracted from your Excel sheet sample, then create a new dashboard, and you have an import option wherein you can import that Excel file into the new dashboard, and then repopulate the dashboard or redesign the dashboard like how they did the samples, and see if you are able to reproduce the same output. Clear? So try all these samples what you have in Excel sheets. Each and every sample is defining each and every component and the use of that component. You'll come to know, you'll get familiar with all those components, so that based on your requirement you can choose what component better suits your dashboard. Okay? So the process is same. The only thing is you just need to choose what components that you want for your dashboard requirement. That's it. Interactivity and all those things for each and every selector, you have that. And apart from that, how do we get dynamic data is what we are going to learn in the next class, which is very important and which is what we are going to do it in real time as well. So everything whatever that we did so far, we'll also do the same thing in real time. But first build your dashboard with sample data and then make that sample data as dynamic. How to log on Excel sheets or server. See here, okay, you have 4.0 server, right? So in that, do you see dashboard design? You must be able to see dashboard design. Open that. The layout will be same. But yes, you have lot of additional options in that latest version. But the layout and the canvas, everything is same. Okay? And the new options what you have, don't worry about that. First we'll learn Excel sheets and I'll let you know what are all the architectural changes that they made it. They made a huge change and they made it very simple to populate dashboards in the latest version, which is independent of an Excel sheet level data. It can directly populate dashboards on a specific field that is coming from Universe without making this Excel sheet as a source. That's a huge change that they made it in the latest version. So till this version, you have to depend on Excel sheet. So that you'll observe when we discuss how do we populate on dynamic data. Okay. The same samples you're going to have it in the latest version. So you'll be able to have Excel sheet and all those things and try to populate in that. Okay. Clear? Any questions? Oh, it might have expired. Just give me a second. I'm going to provide you the key, because we always use temporary keys to install. We don't have any permanent license key. We didn't purchase anything. Just give me an option. The people who have already logged in, I'm going to provide you the key. So one of you please update that key and see whether it is working fine or not. Keys for Excel sheets dashboard. So please enter this key and let me know if it is working. Is it working, Harita? In which computer did you open? What is the IP address? Is that showing dashboard design 2011? Paste that key and let me know if it is working. And all others, whatever the IP address that you have got, if you get an error stating that the key got expired, copy this key and use that. But this key is for 2011 version, the latest version, because all you people have Vivo 4.0 access. So use this key. Once you add it, so you'll be able to use that dashboard designer, and you'll be able to see the same layout, whatever that we discussed so far. Okay. Clear? So please copy that key. Any other questions? So that is about dashboard designer, and pretty straightforward. You just need to design, saying not valid. Then you might be using it for Crystal Reports, sorry, Excel sheets 2008. Just give me a second. I'm going to log into the server machine. What is the IP address? So so can you see my desktop? Whose ID is this? 50025. Can you please provide the password for this? Whose ID is this 50025? I think it's Imran. Imran is not online. Okay. Can you give me your ID and password, Harita? Five zero zero two four. Okay, now it got open, I think. Okay, so now it's working. Now this is the dashboard design, which is latest version. If you click on blank model, so it opens the same window. See here you have components, canvas, Excel sheet, same thing. Okay, and you can go to file. Oops, 1 second. Problem with Excel sheet. Go to process and close that Excel. Where do you have Excel.exe? Okay, so this is your Excel sheets. Now you can build your samples by go to samples, the guide, and these are all the samples what you have. You can open it and you can work on that. Okay, here. So I'm gonna close this. So tomorrow we'll see what are all dynamic connections that we have. How do we get data from Universe Designer, Crystal Reports, Web Intelligence, and populate our dashboard. Okay, and for the people who wants more advanced topic on Excel sheets, please use this website, which is going to contain webinars of Excel sheets. Not only Excel sheets, you also have Excel sheet level functionalities. So the website is this one, datapeaktechnologies.com. So if you open that website, you have an option. You have webinars related to Excel sheet. Those who are new to Excel sheet level functionality, you can also check those Excel functions. Apart from that, we also have Excel sheets related videos, which are more advanced and basic as well. So let me open it at mine and I'll show you. So as soon as you log in, see here you have Excel. If you want Excel tutorials, you can click on this Excel icon, or if you want Excel sheets, click on this. These are all list of Excel sheets related. He has given some tips and tricks how we build some Excel sheets based on our requirement, and you have advanced topic as well as basics. Okay. So this website is very useful. You can go through it and you'll be able to reproduce on your machine as well. Clear? So thank you. So talk to you tomorrow then. Have a great day. Bye-bye.